Hello, good evening, good morning, wherever you may be, and welcome to this webinar, GWPN, Global Women's Peace Network. The title of our gathering tonight is Media and SDG 17, which is Bridging Divides and Fostering Connections. My name is Laura Hornbeck, and I'll be your moderator. As a long-term member of Women's Federation for World Peace, I have been involved in media myself for many years, including writing articles and co-editing last year's WFWP 30th anniversary book. Tonight's webinar is entitled Media and SDG number 17, Bridging Divides and Fostering Connection. Let me explain to those of you who may not know what SDG stands for. I'm sure there's quite a few people who have never heard that before. It stands for Sustainable Development Goals. And these were formulated at the United Nations and specifically its Economic and Social Council. WFWP, our group, is a nonprofit organization in general consultative status with the UN. So the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, also known sometimes as global goals, were adopted by the United Nations in 2015 as a universal call to action to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure that by 2030, all people enjoy peace and prosperity. Now, those are very ambitious goals, right? But they're very inspiring goals, I do believe. Our program tonight focuses on the last of the SDGs, which is number 17, and it stresses the importance of a strong, ongoing global partnership for sustainable development throughout the world. You may know that Global Women's Peace Network was established as a project of WFWP for the purpose of helping women in leadership share their energies and vision across boundaries of ethnicity, nationality, and so forth. We will be hearing from 3 distinguished women who have been doing what SDG 17 is all about. They have been bridging divides and fostering connections for many years collectively. Their work has involved getting the word out to others, which is what media is all about. It's about sharing information and letting people know what's happening in the world. So our speakers will each speak for a few minutes, and then we will have an opportunity to have any questions answered. So I ask you to please put comments, any questions in the chat box as we go along. And then after each speaker it makes their presentation, we will bring up your questions and comments in a roundtable session. Also, please remember to mute your microphones. And if you have questions or comments, we would love to see them in the chat box. Okay, so let me introduce someone very special to begin our program. Our new president of Women's Federation USA, Kayleigh Moffitt. Mrs. Kayleigh Moffitt lives in Maryland. She's a proud wife for 15 years and is the mother of 3 young children. She says that she knows that if she can be successful at that job, raising children, she will contribute to making a better world. Kayleigh started leading church youth activities in her early teens, and she served as a youth pastor for several years. In 2014, she began working nationally with young adults for the Family Federation for World Peace and Unification. In 2019, she became director of the Young Christian Leadership Conference. In April 2021, she joined the Universal Peace Federation USA in the position of Congressional Liaison. So those must have been quite different experiences. She went from youth Christian leadership to navigating the halls of Congress. That's quite a distance to go. So Kayleigh holds a bachelor's degree in business operations management and family science from the University of Maryland. She holds now a master's degree she just completed in peace studies from the HJ International School for Peace and Public Leadership. And I would just really like to know how she does it all. But I am so pleased to introduce to you WFWP USA President, Mrs. Kayleigh Moffitt.
Thank you so much, Laura, for your very kind introduction. And although you said kind words, I'm not perfect. So still a lot of things that are missing in my life that I can work on personally, right? But it's my great honor. I'm so excited for this webinar today. The women that we have gathered here are really professionals and have so much to offer on this particular topic. And we've been looking forward to this webinar greatly. As we prepare to hear from these experienced and wise ladies, I just want to read a little section from our founder's memoir, Mother Moon. Her memoir is here, The Mother of Peace. And this topic of media is something that she and her husband have actually invested quite a bit in. They've started many different newspapers and many different magazines and companies that work to communicate universal values that can reach all people, not just one side. And I'd like to just read a few sections from it here. She's talking here of the section called Media Expressing Universal Values. And she says, I was born in North Korea, and I experienced firsthand the cruelty of communism and the wretchedness of war. So I knew very well that when Vietnam fell, it would lead to massacres and the spread of harsh ideology to neighboring countries. In democratic countries, the media is more often one-sided than balanced. Trying to gain market share, editors pander to forces that persecute those who aren't politically correct or who practice a minority religion. My husband and I imagined a different kind of media, one that is constructive and represents fairness and absolute values. With this in mind, in January 1975, we founded in Japan the Seikai Nippon newspaper in Tokyo. She goes on to describe, how they built that and how they work together. And then later on, she discusses that she and her husband founded the Washington Times in Washington, D.C. in 1982. And she remarks on it here. She says, together with the staff of the Washington Times, we resolutely defended democracy while advocating family values, morality, and the role of women. As a result, the newspaper's popularity grew. Every year, the paper did better. And now in the age of internet, it's become more influential online and in the United States. So I wanted to read that because everything we do in Women's Federation is led by this amazing woman who has this dream of bringing together people from all backgrounds centered on the idea of universal values. And truly, if the media can support that and make that happen, and I know the secret is the women leaders in this area who have the sense of fairness and equality and bringing together people from different places to be able to pursue a more peaceful society. So I'm very grateful for the women who are gathered here to speak because I know you model that in your own lives, and I'm looking forward to hearing from each of you today. Thank you.
There we go. Okay, wow. Thank you so much, Kayleigh. That was very, very well put. Very well said. My goodness. Tonight, we're going to have, I said, 3 speakers. And let's see, I'm trying to make sure my camera's good here. Is that good? Okay. Okay. So we're going to start tonight with a very distinguished lady, and every single person here is distinguished. And so we'll just say that. So our first speaker tonight is Donna Page Riley. She's also known as the Etiquette Lady. She's the founder of 2 companies specializing in personal and professional development, training and coaching. Donna is an inspirational and motivational speaker, a John Maxwell International Certified Master Trainer and Coach. For over 30 years, Donna has created, customized, and provided training programs and materials for youth and adults, and has traveled extensively training and speaking around the country. Donna has an extensive writing background also, and is an author of numerous columns and several books. Donna has broadcasting experience in radio news, television, talk show hosting. and voiceover work. Donna believes that proper etiquette and communication skills are essential because these skills encompass every area of our lives. And that's so true. Her life's passion is to encourage, inspire, and add value to others' lives and to make the world a polite place to live. Wow. Donna was appointed Ambassador for Peace by the Universal Peace Federation in January of this year and was a recipient of the Her Story Award from the Women's Federation for World Peace in September of 2022. Ms. Donna Riley lives in Georgia. Let us welcome her to speak to us this evening about her work.
Okay, wanted to make sure I unmuted myself. Thank you so much for that introduction. I so appreciate it. And I'd like to say happy Saturday to everyone. And I would like to let you know this first. Anytime before I speak or I am preparing to speak, I always ask the Lord to give me his agenda and what he would like for me to speak about. And so although I had my speech actually prepared almost a week ago, when I asked him to continue to download, he did just that. And so I'll tell you, at 6:18 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when the download stopped. So it had to, right? Because we started at 7 p.m. So I'm going to have on my reporter hat a little bit, so you will see me reading, okay? But I do want to say that I hope you all are well, first of all, and I must thank the Women's Federation for World Peace USA for inviting me to be a part of this forum. Oh gosh, I'm just so humbled and honored to be able to share, you know, my personal thoughts and my personal experiences with you as well. And of course, with so much division and negativity in the world, as well as in media, we must figure out how to come together in lieu of continuing to drift apart. So my thought is by implementing etiquette in all that we do. So being considerate, thoughtful, and demonstrating kindness is how I would like to begin, okay? And of course, etiquette is not limited to the manners that we display, say, at the table. Oftentimes when people think of etiquette, they think automatically just table manners, but it's so much more actually than that. It's, of course, it's how we treat each other, how we interact with each other, how we respect each other is really, really important. And please don't let me leave out honesty and integrity, because it's essential, okay? Now, regarding the role and goal of SDG, the media plays, of course, an important role in shaping our culture, and through inaccuracy and the over-reporting of negativity causes our culture to continue to divide instead of coming together. So as a woman of God myself, I believe the media has a God-given responsibility to report the truth, be it negative or positive. So who will be the ones to actually stand up and report the actual truth? Many individuals prefer not to watch the news because of the lack of trust, with the question, is this actual or is this made up? And oftentimes also known as fake news, because we hear that term quite a bit, don't we? Yes, there is a lot of violence, corrupt behavior, killings, wars that are taking place, but there is also some positive news out here. There really is. If more media sources would just simply be more conscious to search for it. As consumers of media, we must protect our gates. And of course, our gates are what we see and what we hear, and also our mouth, what we say. It's very, very important as well. Not only do we respond to what we see and hear, but it also penetrates our spirit. As a result, this is why I find myself quite often taking what I call a news fast. Sometimes I just have to get away from it all. When it comes to the news outlets, it seems like more time somehow. Now, when I watch the news, I don't know if that's the case when you watch it, but it seems like more of it is allocated to negative news instead of positive news. Since this is the case, on my platform, which is What is Etiquette Anyway? It's my blog talk radio show. What I try to make sure I do is to be extremely intentional about, doesn't matter what topic we are speaking on, but to be encouraging, to be uplifting, and to have some good news. And to the fact where I produce what are called good news shows. And so those are episodes that we only talk about good news. And I think we certainly could use more of that. The media longs for good ratings. So we know, we hear about, it's rating season and we need to get the best ratings, and that you heard it first here. Okay, so to hurry up and get that news piece so they can go ahead and disseminate that, right? But my question is this: does honesty play a role, or just are there made up stories that sound good in order to secure ratings? I do, excuse me, I do, however, want to commend those broadcasts that do at least sprinkle some type of positive news in. And that is certainly a good thing. And as a matter of fact, excuse me, as a matter of fact, there's one particular national news media outlet that at the very end, and they've been really, really intentional about this, at the very end, they have a positive story. So even if I did not have an opportunity to watch the full broadcast, I will certainly tune in to the last couple of minutes because I know that they are going to share something positive, which I think is great. And it'll make you feel good, especially if you did happen to catch all of the news, because sometimes it's so very depressing, right? As a little girl, I never liked watching anything that was like scary or demonic-like, or I just never liked that. I didn't like watching anything with that contained any type of profanity. It just when I would hear it, it would just vex my spirit. And really, I'm still like that today. I just don't like to listen to, because again, it goes into and penetrates your spirit. I don't like to listen to that. In fact, even with reading other types of media, with books, I like to read books that are encouraging, that are enlightening, and that are positive. And that's also what I make an attempt to also just simply make sure that when I'm writing, I do the same thing.
Good.
Even as parents,
Okay.
as I mentioned, when I was little, even as parents, we have to monitor the information and the news that our children are exposed to. Monitor the amount of time you are on social media as well. And of course, watching TV, we as parents also must monitor our own selves, right?
Right.
Children, what they do is they actually see what we do, and they have the tendency to do that as well. And
Okay.
so I just wanted to share that with you, and please do certainly monitor your children and cyberbullying as well. Okay.
Wow.
All right. I do
Oh,
want to,
great.
yes, in conclusion, if you would please initiate an act of kindness.
Mm.
All right. And I usually say that at the end of the show. And I know we can initiate at least one act every day. All right. Thank you so
Wow.
much.
Thank you, Donna Page Riley. How excellent. What excellent points you make. And again, I want to encourage people on the call to put your comments, questions, reflections in the chat box. And so we will have a chance, hopefully, to get back to Donna at the end with any of that. Yeah, there's again, this is so rich. Everybody has so much to offer. It's really hard to keep it to just a few minutes. So also I encourage people to go to Donna's website. Each speaker tonight will have their website up in the upper left-hand corner there. So you can see that and use that information for more details. Okay, so our next distinguished speaker tonight is Ritu Chopra. Ritu is a technologist by profession, and she's an author, a TV show host, an award-winning film producer, a certified leadership coach, and an international speaker. And she says she's on her own spiritual journey. With over 25 years of experience in Fortune 500 companies, serving in IT operations and information security, Ms. Chopra now mentors and coaches emerging leaders to achieve their personal mastery. She is founder of Lead My Way, a not-for-profit organization, and is a passionate advocate of women's leadership and empowerment initiatives. Her recent book, Women's Leadership in the 21st Century, Creating and Raising Leaders of Tomorrow, is another example of her dedication to helping women. Ms. Chopra has been the recipient of numerous awards, including the WFWP Her Story Award, International Independent Film Award, Outstanding Achievement Award, Best Shorts Award, and the Princeton TV Director Choice, among many others. So let's welcome Ms. Chopra. She lives in New Jersey, and we're looking forward to hearing from her tonight.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Laura and WFWP for having me one of your guests today. I want to just kind of piggyback on Miss Donna Page. So I also was at the last moment changing some things that I wanted to talk about. And I did want to just bring in attention to the SDG goals overall. And also, before we even talk about media, what are these goals and why these are important at an individual level? And this is very close to my heart as I speak about women leadership. Women are at the forefront and at the center, often when it comes to the conscious leadership initiatives. So as sustainable goals, SDGs are the UN Declaration and a plan of action for people, planet, and prosperity. And this universal agenda of UN is evidenced by the 17 sustainable goals and 169 targets. But at the core are the 5 Ps: the people, planet, prosperity, peace, and partnership. Today, as we speak about the SDG 17, partnership for the goals, and the role of media is crucial. I want to bring attention to what we need to expect media to be aware of the global goals and shine light at them. We are at a critical stage where we have increased use of artificial intelligence, global platforms to seek and procure talents, cybersecurity, and global governance issues. Moving into the 4th industrial revolution that brings its own unique challenges of digital economy, geopolitics, climate crisis, systemic racism, global diversity, and inclusion. In addition, food security, humanitarian crises, social innovation, social protection, global health, education, skill, and learning, to name a few. Today, in today's economy, small and medium businesses are essential for achieving these sustainable goals because they can contribute to economic growth and job creation by effectively sustaining them. However, in globalization, the gap between rich and poor has gone up. We are reduced to the state of chaos, uncertainties, conflicts, greed, environmental threats, terrorism, and possibly a future biowarfare. We don't want to say that no one is paying attention or nothing is being done. Some of those who are making remarkable efforts to continuously bring light to such disasters or upcoming monumental challenges are definitely acknowledged. However, that is just drop in the bucket. So much more action is needed. Awareness is needed. Attention is needed, not just the nonprofits or few kind hearts or a random CSR program is enough. So we are at the doorstep of environmental disasters. Every day there are news. As you see them, as you believe them, you can analyze and see the damage being done to the biodiversity of sea life and life forms in every sphere. So global competition also has complicated our lives with economic crises, family life crises, and many other environmental hazards, and a human health impact, not to forget that. And most of the time when you really follow these SDG goals, you may have noticed that there are pros and cons like everything else. So in the pros, it's an ambitious agenda. It's a collective and universal set of goals, strong commitment to end poverty, and an overarching commitment to reduce inequality. On the cons, some say the goals don't go too far enough. Goals ignore underlying inequalities and international systems. Goals are top down. Some see them as wishes, not as goals. And there's a lack of data at the grassroots levels. And very often now we hear about ESG in addition to SDGs, environment, social, corporate governance. This is really critical as we are going through this third decade of 21st century. The societies today cannot have organizations and companies that destroy the world and then put band-aids on what they have destroyed. It's no longer acceptable. It's destructive, not sustainable, as humanity faces multitude of challenges in the next few decades. Is the media and SDG. What are media's responsibility and role media can play? Mostly media, independent news organization without any control of the government can foster dialogue and respect for individual rights and give society a platform to express its various voices. Media enhances democratic governance, transparency, and development by fostering positive changes in individual groups and organizational behaviors, while they can facilitate the exercise of human rights. Effective media acting as an agenda setters and gatekeepers bring numerous public benefits, enhancing government transparencies, reducing corruption, and fostering informed, inclusive, and sustainable societies. Greater press freedom correlates to higher adult literacy and school enrollment ratios. Access to media is linked directly to literacy rates in children. Additionally, increased public access to information, should say correct information, reduces corruption of public funds in education system. The SDG Media Partnership can inspire news and entertainment organizations to leverage their resources and talents to amplify and accelerate progress towards achieving these SDG goals. The social movements, public policy initiative, they need media attention to advance their agenda. And government agencies or civil societies, they can partner with media to gain public attention or via public informative campaigns. Media also contributes to furthering development commitments. Media can offer a platform for dialogue, participate in initiatives for change, and support the achievement of development objectives. Media can also act as an instrument to increase public awareness of the SDGs and hold government accountable for the implementation of national commitment. So these are, to summarize, few, but I'm sure that at grassroots level, there's more work that is being done that needs to be brought into the light, so others can benefit from those initiatives. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ritu. Yes, it's very good to hear a little bit of an overview there of the UN SDGs. I appreciate that. Yes. And in the chat box, you'll see someone posted also on a link to the SDG goals from at the UN. So yes, again, please post any questions, comments about these presentations to our speakers. Yes, so much to share, so much wisdom. So our next and last speaker is a wonderful lady named her title is First Lady Alicia Hamilton. She's the founder of the New World Network, a digital streaming and distribution platform. It's broadcasting, as she says, anytime, any place, anywhere in the world with internet connectivity. New World Network is part of the Universal Citizens Media family, and it's a home for a growing roster of digital streaming broadcast providers, which reach over 100 million households worldwide. New World Network broadcasts programs with narratives that support truth in media, key point, and curates content to make a positive impact on people and the planet. Lady Hamilton has supported the UN SDGs as a global compact partner during her tenure as president of PAC-RED, or Preparation and Awareness for Community Resiliency in Emergencies and Disasters, PAC-RED, and as a writer contributor for the United Nations Impactor magazine. Lady Hamilton received her doctorate in humanities from the United Graduate College and Seminary International. She served in ministry with her husband as the First Lady of Philadelphia Community Fellowship, the Gospel Institute, and Community Missionary Baptist Church. Lady Hamilton lives now in California. So let's welcome Lady Alicia Hamilton.
Hello, everyone. You can hear me fine, everybody? I'm clear? Okay, wonderful. Well, I want to thank you first for having me join this esteemed group of ladies today. I was so honored to be asked to speak with you. It was an easy invitation to accept because this topic has been very near and dear to my heart for decades. I've been advocating for positive imagery in media because I realized that what we do will impact especially our children. Media, the way it impacts culture. And this was first brought to my realization with my son, who's been my inspiration for many things, but he sure got me on this path when I saw as a little boy, about 2, 3 years old, he was watching a cartoon that you would think a cartoon is safe, right? This cartoon had the darkest message. And I couldn't believe how parents could be tricked into thinking that that was a safe place for kids, but the messaging coming across was actually negative. And that day I prayed. I said, Lord, if I can do something with my life, can I do something about this? I had already been studying communications and marketing. And I thought, could I do something here? Because I know a lot of people don't realize and recognize what is coming across and the manipulation that even comes across through what we see on television and in film and in music. And so that started my journey. That started my journey to do something about advocating for media. And over the years, I have been studying and following, for example, the Annenberg Public Policy Center out of the University of Pennsylvania. They've been tracking this for years. And it just made sense that the impact that violence, video games, music, how that could be dangerous to young minds that are developing, because our children don't have the ability to discern when they're young. I mean, that's something that's taught. And sometimes adults don't do it either, but especially our kids. They have to be shown, how do we make those choices? And I know that I'm not alone in seeing that this was a concern, but now we have studies that have shown, and even today, we fast forward to today, we look at the layer of now social media and what that has done. The suicide rate for our young kids is higher than it's ever been before. And that is so, that's what brings my passion. That's what, if you can sense the passion, that's where my passion comes from, because these are our babies. And they're going to eventually be the future leaders of our country, right? So we have a responsibility, I think, as elders, as parents, to really look at what does this mean. So I don't have time to go into that whole thing today. I want to get straight to the point. Now that we look at the impact that media is having on society, we just saw recently in the last election cycle, where the narratives that were coming through on the news and social media and the internet literally almost started a civil war in our country, because people were listening to things. Some things were true, some things not so much. And actually, it's the awareness that I'm really advocating here. So at least if we make the choice, we make it with wisdom, with understanding, with knowledge, and not to be duped into something out of ignorance or because we just weren't aware. So I'm advocating, tooting the horn for let's be aware so we can make better choices for ourselves and for our kids. According to the Red Row Marketing, the average American sees between 4,000 and 10,000 impressions a day of just advertising. That doesn't include what we choose to watch on TV. And so, and truth be told, guys, how many people have used the TV as a babysitter? Come on now, I hate to say it, but we've done it. So it's so important that we take control. So that's what I'm going to speak about today, is about taking control. Because even scripturally, what is out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth does speak it. Okay, that's Matthew 12, 34 and 35. And it goes on and gets even deeper about why we need to take responsibility. We can make some better choices. And that is what, again, I'm advocating for, because what we see and what we hear helps us formulate our thoughts. And then from that decision-making, we speak. But it's from the heart. So today, we have many people who are doing things and they don't know, they don't mean to do anything wrong. Their heart really is good, they just don't know. But there's people who are very dark and they know that they can use media to manipulate and to get agendas going that are not good for humanity. It's good for themselves, it's good for profit. And so what we see, if we're ingesting these programs, right? If we're ingesting these programs, it makes it profitable for producers. I mean, why would they produce things that have a lot of graphic violence, explicit sex, dark messaging? It's because we watch it. And so let's take back the reins, guys, because the only way I really feel we're going to make any real change is if it starts from within. It starts from within ourselves. Well, we can take back some of the power and control and start making better choices for ourselves, which is healthy, for our children, which is critical, for our communities, which is so important. And eventually we can turn the tables for humanity. So it's going to have to start within with what I believe are the choices that we're making on the media that we consume. We can change the channel, because what we tune into, as my chancellor, Pastor Felton would say, what we tune into is what we're going to turn into. So what we bombard our minds with, and a lot of it we can't control because it's everywhere, but we can make better choices, as well as producers. We can use media for good. And that's what we're doing at New World Network. Our networks have supported the SDGs for years. As mentioned, I've written for the Impactor magazine. We align ourselves because the intention, we feel, is good, and it's up for us to implement it. And so media as the baseline for sharing it and sharing with other people, that is where we can make different choices. And so I'm just advocating the awareness about the impact that media has on culture, the ability for us to go within and start putting a filter on what we decide to consume. As our sister said earlier, she has a good news. I love that, because we do that as well. We can, as producers, take responsibility and put out things and produce things that are going to be positive. So as we move forward from here, I hope that what I leave you with is this: 100 years from now, the media that we record today is going to document that snapshot in history. So we won't be here, but what we leave behind will. Now, granted, they might not have the ability to stream, they might not be around, or they might not have a DVD player, but print media and our pictures and things are going to be around. They've been around for thousands of years. So what is that snapshot going to be that we leave behind? What are we going to say? What did we contribute in the season? Yeah. And I really believe that if we step back, take a deep breath, start looking at the realities around us, start looking at discerning for ourselves what is good, and not just, as scripture says, being tossed to and fro because somebody said so. We have to vet things for ourselves today, especially with AI.
Yes.
That's a whole nother subject another day.
Right.
I'm Kathleen. But to say that I hope that what I said will leave you with: we can build better, bridge gaps, create partnerships, educate, heal, restore, uplift, and more with narratives and media that's used for good. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you. Man, that is really comprehensive and so important. It's amazing how each speaker tonight has pretty much talked about the same point, especially in regard to the media and the responsibility, right, of the media. And I really love that point you made, Lady Hamilton, about 100 years from now, what will be on the record for our time. So we have, yes, a wonderful, oh, wow, so much input tonight. And we're going to start about a 15-minute roundtable. So we're going to have all of our speakers up on the, yeah, there we go. Yeah, so I want to look over here at some of these comments in the chat box. And most of course, Glenda in Arizona is so inspired by everyone. So true, she says, about the parents and the importance of parents taking responsibility. Dr. Angelica Silly is very inspired. She said, everyone makes relevant points about media's crucial role in shaping our society. So yes, we need pointers for how to navigate the challenges of the media today. Yeah, so I think that's a big question, how to take control, basically, or assert more control over the media. I think you made the point, Lady Hamilton, about just stop watching those things. But I think also Donna Riley made the point about, and both of you made the point about producing positive things. How do we make positive media more interesting and exciting for the general public? Anybody want to chime in?
I'll jump in. That's kind of
Okay. Kind of a big,
Yeah, well, it's challenging because we see what sells, sex sells, violence sells, graphic stuff sells, and it is what has been driving more production of it because people can make money from it. So
Right.
truly, it's a conscious choice for society as a whole to say, no, we're not going to consume that. But then what do you do for entertainment? And so I think in terms of looking at what would be attractive, if education is not attractive, if edifying your mind and your spirit, if uplifting your family isn't attractive, if trying to figure out ways to live better, to have more peace in your life, if those things aren't attractive to you, it's, I mean, what can you say? But we hope that with trying to find things that resonate with people and where they are today.
yeah.
I
Good.
want to believe that more people are concerned about the future of our country and the world than you really see, because it's the loud noise that we see projected at us. I think there's more people than we know that would like to see things that
Yeah.
meaningful for their future.
Okay, great, thank you. Yeah, so a question from Kaylee, actually. How can we encourage, or how can women, the unique role of women in addressing these media concerns? Donna or Ritu, go ahead.
Can I go back to the first question, a very quick comment there?
Sure.
So a media role, the traditional media role is soundbite, sensation, and profit. And what we need is information and awareness. So to bring a profit-based media to pay attention to the actual news and awareness may not happen. What's positive right now that we have so many platforms, podcasts, streamings, think tanks, where people can come together and still create that awareness.
Yeah.
Without the participation of profit-based, soundbite-based, sensational media news. We could still do that.
Okay.
And while I'm there, if it's okay, I want to address Kelly's question.
Yeah, okay, go ahead, please.
So what can women do addressing these media concerns? I think women are closer to the center of their household, that is the rock of the family, the impact that happens to children. We heard about the use of the video games and the bad news, etc. The emotional impact that's happening, women can play a big role because they are closer to the family and within the family unit, they're closer to children. Understanding the damage that it has short term and in long term, themselves first, and then educating children. So I think that's my tip.
Okay, great, thank you. What about you, Donna? What are your comments?
Yeah, I wanted to go back to the first question as well. I think that we need to make sure that we use the same enthusiasm and excitement and be very intentional of, getting people to understand that positivity can be very popular. Okay. It was mentioned earlier that, negativity, violence, crime, that seems to really have a bigger draw. I don't know if it really has a bigger draw, but it's promoted more. So we need to be more intentional about promoting the positive and being kind and peaceful. That is very important. So we have to actually, I believe, work just a little bit harder at doing that.
Okay, great. Donna Avey asks, how do we work from our homes to jump in, to bring more awareness and personal pointers to our own neighbors, friends, and communities? It's another big question. I think you all have done that on your own and have shown the example, right? Any other pointers for anybody?
Well, we have to be more neighborly. I believe nowadays, most people in communities don't know each other. So we have to be intentional about reaching out to our neighbors and really being more concerned for our neighbors as well. And so that's very important, especially when you are working from home. Yes, that
Building those
neighborly,
relationships.
exactly.
I'd like to chime in there.
Yeah, we have time.
If I may chime in, it is important. During the pandemic, we learned that we could communicate with each other using media and technology like we're doing today. You know, we're on all different parts of the country, but we're connecting through these platforms. On our New World Network at NWN.TV, we have an area called our Citizen Speak. It's a blog area and blog area, but it's where we're exchanging information. We actually talk about the SDGs too there, but where we're exchanging information, where you can comment on things, and it inspires us to also produce things that are of interest to our community. So that is one way, through finding communities that are, you know, talking about the things that interest you, that inspire you. And so we hope that we're doing that at Citizen Speak, but I know there are plenty of platforms out there, like Donna's platform, her show, and many other shows that have a outreach to like-minded people who can also, you know, exchange. So I think that would be a way to also do it.
Yeah.
So I want to add something, reaching out, definitely we need to do that, reach out. Say, I also want to say that embrace the diversity in your local communities.
Yeah.
Learn about other people's festivities and enjoy, participate in that. Just be curious. Be kind, be curious, learn. I came to know recently about during COVID 2020, when the riots were taking place in Chicago area, community leaders came up together, and there was a dumpling festival, so to speak, to bring communities together through the medium of food, because every culture has some sort of pocket food. So they name this festival dumpling food. So different cultures have their sort of food. So you come together. There are ways to bring those stories into the light. So we learn from each other and find different ways to not only embrace and acknowledge the diversity, but also have that kind of kindness extended.
Yeah. Such an important point. I think our Global Women's Peace Network is an excellent example of that sort of getting to know one another beyond just the, you know, yes, we met in a meeting or something, but actually spending a little time with one another and visiting one another, right? And actually going to one another's homes and so forth when possible. Yeah, and so excellent points. Let's see, what else do we have here for questions? Oh yeah, someone says if you have Ring in your immediate community, you can send information out. Really? I don't know. Okay. Yeah, and then some Donna Avey says a friend of hers feels that information has been siloed, or you know, people are not really dialoguing with others with different viewpoints. So I think there's a way, just like Donna was espousing, the kindness. You can, you know, honestly, we have to be able to meet with people we don't agree with on certain points, but to recognize the higher values that we agree on, I think that we can all agree on.
And especially people of faith, we have to be conscious in remembering that if we don't agree, it's not necessarily what we say, but it's how we say it. And so if we're kind and polite and diplomatic about disagreeing, then people will be more drawn to us. And we are supposed to be the light if we're people of faith.
Yeah, very good point. So yeah, we just have about 3 or 4 more minutes, but again, the unique role of women. This gets back to Kayleigh's, but again, you all more or less touched on that, with especially as mothers, right? And awareness, and then the sensitivity I think that we have as women. Okay, let's see. Any other points you would like to share in the next, very few minutes? Anybody?
I have just a quick comment, and kind of just ties in what I was saying, that all of the change that we see moving forward for humanity is going to come from the inside out. We've been allowing ourselves to be bombarded by, all these things from outside of ourselves. But truly, if we go within, we are all spiritual beings having a human experience, and there's a beautiful connection with the Lord that can bring peace that surpasses understanding. Just go within, because the answers are there, but we as a society have been allowing ourselves to be just, tossed back and forth. And I hope that that will be our future. That will be the change. The catalyst for change is healing from the inside out. Media can do that too. Help.
That would be a great thing to see, wouldn't it?
I
Yeah.
can add a comment is that be informed consumers.
Oh, good.
Just don't take the news, analyze it. Take responsibility before you consume the news.
Yeah.
Oh, good point.
And I would also like to say that how can the news media, this is often a question, promote more positivity? And I believe the way to do that is by promoting less negativity.
Very good point.
Mhm. Yes.
I think it's gotten to the point where when you hear something positive, you're really drawn to it on the media, right? It's so much negativity. It's like, oh wow, there's profiling some good person is doing
Right.
something really wonderful in their community. Wow, let's watch that.
Mm,
That's news now, that's special.
Yeah. There's
Absolutely.
more out there than we give ourselves credit for. I
Yes.
really think there is. It's just that we are bombarded with all this other stuff that doesn't have to be that way. So producers, I hope, will make a change too.
Okay, excellent points, everyone. Thank you so much. Gosh, this is personal. I think for all of us here, it's really a personal interest and personal kind of passion. Yeah, the word, right? Spreading the word. Is it going to be the good word or the bad word, right? And this is what we're all trying to do here. So yes, I think now it is time for a closing remarks from our president, Mrs. Kayla Moffitt.
Yeah, thank you. I feel like this topic actually can feel overwhelming, especially as a young mom, right? My kids are just starting to grow up and consume different things, and very aware of that, and I recognize how much it influences them. But hearing from each of these women who have so much experience in these areas is really comforting. And I like Lady Alicia's last point here is that actually there's more out there than we realize, right? There's more positivity if we make the choices, and some of our women here are producing that kind of positive content, right? And so it is, as many of these women here are saying, the importance of being mindful consumers and seeking out good opportunities. And I really just want to extend my appreciation and my heart of partnership with each of you, that in the projects you're working on in these kinds of areas, we in Global Women's Peace Network and Women's Federation for World Peace really want to support that. Especially as women leaders, I feel that this is kind of an essential time for women to be able to bring this kind of voice forward. Women are the ones who can bring people together despite different backgrounds, as Ritu was sharing, right? Getting to know people of different backgrounds and modeling that in our communities. So I just want to give my heartfelt thank you. And I hope that this is just a door open to many more partnership opportunities with women like you. Thank you. And back to you, Laura.
Great, thank you. Yes, all right. I guess we can pretty much call it an evening. I guess I just, again, everyone had such good things to share. The final call actually is to remind everyone that we would love for you to visit our website, wfwp.us and /membership. There are many levels of membership that you can have, and we're always grateful for members, and then the expansion again of the word, getting the word out through all these wonderful ladies that are part of our group. The other, the project is Global Women's Peace Network that we're with tonight. And that is also wfwp.us/global friends. So the next program that is going to be sponsored online will be the Her Story Award, Women's Federation for World Peace, Her Story Award, which you're all familiar with here, our speakers, and it's August the 12th. So our Grace Kisele, our national coordinator, will be sending out that information, and Grace is also our new coordinator. Everyone is really stepping up. It's so inspiring for these younger ladies to really be doing what they're doing. So I guess at this point, Grace, I'm going to turn it over to you. You're going to give us instructions on having a group photo, I think, something.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone. We're gonna just do a quick photo. We always want to do this to just, have everyone together. If you want to be part of the photo, put your cameras on if they aren't on. If you don't want to be part of the photo, I'll give you a chance to turn your camera off. And we will go ahead in 3, 2, 1. Smile. All right, that is everything. Thank you.
That was easy and quick. Is that it? We're done. We will continue to be continued for sure. Okay, well, thank you so much, everyone, again.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good
Yeah.
rest of your evening.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Shalom, shalom.
Yes.
One is even dropped off. So I knew, well,